Welcome back. Everyone has seen a full-size train, but younger people may not remember a time when maintenance vehicles, special small railroad cars, were on the tracks to maintain the tracks. They have since gone the way of the dodo bird, but they're still out there in the hands of hobbyists. And once in a while you'll see an excursion and a line of them coming through the area. We caught up with one particular excursion last summer at the PPL Riverlands in the Berwick area. America is rich with railroad history, from its early steam engine years in the 1800s and the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 to the heydays of railroading from the late 1800s to the 1920s, and that's of course when automobiles became the preferred mode of transportation in this country. Over the years, track maintenance, as it is today, was of the utmost importance, and to move personnel around to maintain all those miles of track, machines were needed. Early on, hand cars were used. And then around the turn of the century, motorized rail cars, more commonly referred to as motor cars or even more commonly known as speeders, were introduced. They were a common sight along the rails of this country until recent years when utility trucks, fitted with rail wheels, known as high rails, became the standard method of maintenance procedures. Therefore, thousands of speeders have been left to either rot away or to be thankfully purchased by collectors and hobbyists who take the time and money to repair or renovate these vehicles. That's when the fun begins. On weekends, many owners of speeders hit the rails for unforgettable excursions and experiences, including right through portions of the MetroCast Channel 10 viewing area. In fact, last summer, we found a bunch of speeders making their way through the Berwick area to the PPL Riverlands, and operators there gave us some time to explain their hobby and their passions.
We typically do this particular group all up on the East Coast. I just was up in Maine, then New Hampshire. Last weekend it was upstate New York. Here I'm here today, and next weekend I may be back upstate New York. So it is in the summertime, and it's going on in California, it's going on in the Midwest, it goes on all over.
Oh, we get to travel around and ride on the railroad and see things that you don't normally see from the highway. We get to see people's backyards instead of the front yards, and it's just a lot of fun, a lot of good friends we've met, and a lot of places. I guess we wouldn't normally go to travel there, but if there's a rail excursion, then we go there and check it out.
Oh, there's good scenery along the railroad tracks. There's a good bunch of guys get to know, and it's just like any other antique cars or something like that. You get to know people really well, and just nice reunion every time you get together to see them.
I worked on the railroad for a couple of years, freight conductor, and retired from that and decided to get involved with this. And it's a great way to see the country, and it's a great hobby. And one of the best things about the hobby is the people that you meet from all over the country.
Just get out and seeing the scenery and being able to drive something. I mean, I couldn't afford a locomotive unless I worked for the railroad, and it still would not be mine. This way I know the car is mine, and I can travel at a reasonable speed and enjoy the scenery and have a great time.
Well, there are cars available, but the people that can purchase cars usually are within the hobby. It's usually the information is let out internally through the hobby people first to let them have first dibs on it. If not, then other people can get cars. I mean, you could contact Mr. Schry over there and ask him, and he would tell you, well, certain person has a car or cars for sale, and they're around. I mean, there's not that many anymore, but they're around, they're available. The cars range in price from anywhere. This car came from Ohio, from Les King. It didn't have an engine in it, and it cost me $450. But it's been a lot of work, a different roof, got a new engine in it and all that stuff. Right now the car's probably worth about $5,000. So, and it runs very well. I'm more into the mechanical part. I love the riding, but I love to build the cars and have them run and be successful.
This car was built in 1949. It was built for the Lehigh Valley Railroad. I believe it was for a track inspector because the car is sprung, and this is different from a lot of the other cars in that it has a backup belt. So I believe if a man was inspecting track, if he saw a defect, he could stop the car and immediately back up, check the defect, and then be on his way. Because most of the cars, to back up, you have to stop the engine and start it in reverse and then run the car backwards. It doesn't have a backup belt. You know, the engine runs forward to take the car forward or backwards to take the car backwards. Where this has a backup belt, you can immediately change direction. So I think this was a track inspector's car, but I don't have any proof of that. But with the cushion seats and the springs on the axles, it makes it more comfortable for spending a whole day on it, you know, riding over the railroad.
Well, I always wanted one. Could never find where to buy them. And the first run they had up here to the Riverlands, the first year he did the runs, came up here, and my son was about, well, I want to say 8 or 9 years old, and he got a ride on one, and that Thursday I had one sitting in my garage. This one's a Woodings. It's actually the Canadian National Railroad, built about 1993, 94 era. There wasn't too many hours on this car from original, brand new. And I believe it was 320 hours when we picked it up back in about 95.
Well, I had to get an engine, and this is not a standard drivetrain. The drivetrain in here comes basically from a snowmobile engine. It's that inch-wide belt. So the parts on here are basically snowmobile, and the transmission is a full synchro transmission from a golf cart. But I've seen it before in different phases, so I said, you know, let me try it. And the fuel mileage is good. The car runs, it's never let me down on the tracks, which is important. In fact, I just pushed this car behind me for about 5 miles because he had engine problems. So we're all in this together. We all, you know, everybody knows everybody.
Why is this run more interesting than something a little closer to home for you?
Short lines, like just you have here, a little short line, maybe 30, 40 miles. And they're quite willing to let you on the tracks for a fee, obviously, yes, we know that. And like I said, it's, as John Cook says, you meet great people. I've been to Tennessee this year, to Alabama with a run, and to North Carolina on a run, out of Quebec, Canada on a run, and this is, I guess, my 4th one so far this year.
This is my first time down this end of the Berwick line. Usually we go up to town and go through the middle of town. The track runs through town. So this is a little bit different and a little exciting for me because now they've opened up the track up to the power plant here.
Let me ask you a little bit about getting permission to ride the rails.
CEDACOG is the governing body in Pennsylvania for about 5 or 6 different railroads, and they provide us, and you can't see it now, but there's a high rail truck with wheels on it, and they provide a pilot for us that takes us where we're going. He leads, and Mr. Maynard is the back end, so everybody's in between. Nobody gets loose, or, you know, they stay within a certain range and all that stuff.
Tell me about your worst experience.
Our worst experience? Oh my. Well, we went through a switch that wasn't thrown the right way one time and went off the track. That was pretty scary. You know, the switch was going this way or coming this way, and we were going that way, went through the switch the wrong way without throwing the switch. We were in the front car and we were leading an excursion, and we were checking out the crossing to make sure there weren't any cars coming, and whoops, we went off the track. So it's pretty embarrassing when you're the leader.
I would think so. So what did you have to do at that point?
Oh, just pick it up and put it back on. Some of the men helped. See these handles that pull out here? You can pick up the car and turn it around like a wheelbarrow because the wheel's in the front, and you can pull them out the back if you need to and pick up the back or the front.
So they're not overly heavy?
Not too heavy, no. This one's probably heavier than most because of the heavy body that's on it.
Now talk to me about traveling these rails in that style like that. You've got to be aware of a lot of different things. Just go down the list of things you have to watch for as you're traveling along.
Well, grade crossings are the most important thing because the automobiles have the right-of-way at the grade crossing, so we have to yield the right-of-way to them. If it's not too busy a crossing, you can roll up to it, bring the car to a stop if nothing's coming, and then you go across the crossing. Busier crossings will bunch up together and either put some flagmen on the crossing or drop the gates and set the flashers off and we go over as a unit. It's a lot safer that way. because a lot of these motorists, well, in our case, the motorists tend to stop and look at you, where I know in a lot of cases with freight engines on freight trains, they try to beat the train, but they don't. They're curious about us, but still, you never know. If we get hit by a car, we're going to be hurt bad in one of these. So safety is our prime objective. Having a good time is second.
The people in this particular hobby are extremely friendly. I mean, you cannot imagine how receptive they are to people within the groups. And that makes a big difference. Everybody likes everybody. I mean, I know everybody. Even if I don't know someone, I tell them that you're accepted immediately. So it's a kind of an outside thing, because the regular public can't get one. They can't ride in the car. They're excluded from it. So you don't have any of the regular public doing it. So there are unique groups that do it. But, you know, it works.
More information on these speeders, the people who collect them, and where you might be able to buy one for yourself can be found on the website listed on your screen. The people are very nice, they do have a good time, and it's well worth checking them out if you ever see one coming through the area again. That'll do it for this episode of MetroCasting. We do thank you for watching, and we'll see you again after late.